Day, ladies and gentlemen. Today's video is Jeremiah chapter 12 in the Septuagint. Let's begin, shall we? Quote, Righteous art thou, O Lord, that I may make my defense to thee. Yea, I will speak to thee of judgments. Uncle Jeremiah is petitioning to ask Yah a series of questions about judgment. And it's my humble opinion, I say, if you haven't uttered these questions to my God at one time or another, let's just say you might as well party like it's 1999 now. Quote, Why is it that the way of ungodly men prospers, that all that deal very treacherously are flourishing? Thou hast planted them, and they have taken root. They have begotten children, and become fruitful. Thou art near to their mouth, and far from their reins. Stop. Who hasn't uttered these words with tears streaming down their faces before? It's because the evildoers are using witchcraft to make good become evil, and evil to be looked upon as good. And even the very elect, meaning Israel, are blind by the bling bling themselves. Case in point, remember the video we did on discernment, and I went over a transcript of the Watchman and his check in groupie mode over a womb worshiping Hotep heathen? You remember when they went down the list of worldly accomplishments this heathen has wrought? One being, they admired his business model and online sales savvy, with another being how this heathen handles his chicks, and actually told us in a "I'm trying to convince you" tone the proof was in the pudding to prove this heathen was actually blessed in Babylon. Even said they would love to meet him. Well, guess what? That same fraudulent heathen, the one that if I was devoid of spirit, I would have taken the Watchman's counsel and raving endorsements and bought in to emulate the same heathen business practice. Comes to find out, that heathen tried to escape justice by fleeing to the West Coast. And the feds, yes, the feds, not only froze all of his accounts, but they arrested him and his wife with guns drawn on the mean streets of the city of fallen angels. I said all of this to say, well, I think you guys catch the true moral of the story already. So let's continue. Quote, But thou, Lord, knoweth me. Thou hast proved my heart before thee. Purify them for the day of their slaughter. How long shall the land mourn, and the grass of the field wither? Listen up. For the wickedness of them that dwell in it. The beasts and birds are utterly destroyed, because the people said, this is what the people say, God shall not see our ways. Stop. Two things. First, I guess the EPA regulations didn't work back then either. No, really. This tells us the very same offenses for the very same reasons. Filthy lucre had the very same result as we have in our modern day world. And that result is wickedness. Yeah, the people who perpetrate the offenses are wicked. But notice, the offenses themselves are labeled wickedness here. Things like pesticide, non-stop farming, bioengineered crops themselves corrupting the earth, toxic pollution in the air and sea, etc. And again, all infected with the dragon sickness, meaning all is never enough. The scriptures attest the evildoers are destroying the earth, and she is allowing them to do it. It seems Yah allows the reaction of our own actions to be our own reproach. In this case, the wickedness itself is the reason why the land mourns. And that brings me to the second point, which should have really been the first. I always said people do the things that they do because God doesn't punish them right away like we see in the Old Testament in some cases. By the sounds of this passage, I might be right. They have a out of sight, out of mind reprobate thought process. This is the reason why people can stab you in the back, but because they don't perceive, you know it was them working the deceit, they are able to rap with you as though they didn't just try to set you up 2 days ago. But let's continue, shall we? Now, I know Jeremiah's dissertation sounded real good, didn't it? But check out how Yah gets his mind right about his current state of affairs. Quote, thy feet run, and they cause thee to faint. How wilt thou prepare to ride upon horses? And thou hast been confident in the land of thy peace? How wilt thou do in the roaring of Jordan? For even thy brethren and the house of thy father, even these have dealt treacherously with thee, and they have cried out. They are gathered together in pursuit of thee. Trust not thou in them, though they shall speak fair words to thee. Stop. I could break down each example, but in a nutshell, you worry and complaining about the wrong thing, son. You ain't seen nothing yet. I'm about to do them good. Oh yeah, don't trust anybody except me. But let's continue, shall we, if you don't believe me. Yah is about to mourn over what he is about to do. Quote, I have forsaken mine house. I have left mine heritage. I have given my beloved one into the hands of her enemies. My inheritance has become to me as a lion in the forest. She has uttered her voice against me. Therefore I have hated her. Is not my inheritance to me a hyena's cave, or a cave round about her? Go ye, gather together all the wild beasts of the field, and let them come to devour her. Many shepherds have destroyed my vineyards. They have defiled my portion. They have made my desirable portion a trackless wilderness. It is made a complete ruin. For my sake, the whole land has been utterly ruined, because there is none that lays the matter to heart. Stop. I told you it was just rocks and sand over there now. Now, I think Yah switches to our out of Africa ancestors, or us finally having our come to Yah moment in the wilderness, which can only mean, yep, LMI, dragons that spit fire. You will see why I think this in a minute. Quote, the ravengers are come to every passage in the wilderness, for the sword of the Lord will devour from one end of the land to the other. No flesh has any peace. Not so during Jeremiah's time. Sow wheat and reap thorns. Their portion shall not profit them. Be ashamed of your boasting, because of reproach before the Lord. For thus says the Lord concerning all the evil neighbors that touch mine inheritance, which I have divided to my people Israel. Stop. This is not only talking about the Psalms 83 gang, it also means the Romans, Turks, Arabs, and the Gentiles that have trodden down Yah's holy city until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Yah is about to lay out his plans to them. This is kind of deep now. Why? Well, It's definitely talking about our out of Africa ancestors. Can't say that. But that's not the deep part. Yah is about to basically tell the nations their actions are not their own either, in that it was him that resettled them to Israel and about Israel in the first place. Wait, everyone except the Israelis, Esau, and in my opinion, certain families of the Kenites. Check it out. Remember, he is talking to our ancestors' evil neighbors now. Quote, behold, I will draw them away from their land, and I will cast out Judah from the midst of them. Let me say that again now. He's talking about them. Behold, I will draw them, our evil neighbors, away from their land, or their homeland, and I will cast out Judah from the midst of them. Stop. Is this not what happened with the Romans and all the people that were in their empire that had dealings in Jerusalem? Yah made them come to Jerusalem, and the original Israelites got expelled. Let's continue if you don't believe me. Quote, and it shall come to pass, after I have cast them out, that I will return and have mercy upon them, and will cause them to dwell everyone in his inheritance, and everyone in his land. I told you. Now Yah talks about everyone except the three nations I mentioned earlier that are left after the monster gleaning. Quote, and it shall be, if they will indeed learn the way of my people, to swear by my name, saying, the Lord lives, as they taught my people to swear by Baal. Yes, we are being taught to be an abomination. This is one of the main reasons I say a demon whispered in the ear of that Cherry guy that got the entire black Hebrew Israelite cult started. We are being taught to be wayward. This is the reason why I say silly things like little white baby Jesus with no regard. For I fully know we were taught this nonsense. This is why I laugh my butt off when Christians and wise guys run their cookie cutter doctrine about how false Yahweh is, as though I didn't already know he was the God of the Edomites. This is why I bristle at when people try and correct me on my God's name. For I know full well, one, no one knows his name until we get into the wilderness. And two, whoever is speaking to me was taught by someone else. But let's continue and try to finish this out, shall we? Quote, and it shall be, if they will indeed learn the ways of my people, to swear by my name, saying, the Lord lives, as they taught my people to swear by Baal, then shall the nations be built in the midst of my people. Notice, it didn't say become my people. It said what all the other scriptures attest. Be in the midst of my people. To me, I was just splitting hairs just then. Because I could be the lords of the slaves, man. And as long as I'm among the number that endure and see my God's glory, well, what would I truly have to gripe about? I mean, that's just me. But let's finish this out. Quote, but if they will not return, then will I cut off that nation with utter ruin and destruction. Example. Thank you for looking at this video. Yah's will. Look for the next.